Hello, I'm Marina Kim and you're watching the latest news from Kazakhstan. One party and one leader, President Nazarbayev's advisor encouraged the monopoly of a single party for a long-term rule. Workers of the Quad Construction Corporation have blocked the highway in Almaty, demanding their salaries. City without water, major part of the Semey is cut off the water supply. One party and one leader. President's advisor Yermuhamed Yertezbayev supports such concept of ruling the country by a tandem of one party and one president for a long term. The next story has the details on controversial statements made by the official, who in fact has hinted on the start of the election campaigns for both parliament and presidential elections.
The political arena cleansing is suggested by the president's advisor Yermuhamed Yertezbayev. There are so-called pseudo-parties which do not really acquire at least 40,000 followers as required by the law, said the official. It seems that the advisor is just completing the Nazarbayev's recent statement that the country must be ruled by one political force for a long period. This is the peculiarity of Kazakhstan, absolute domination of one political force in the country. I looked in the internet about the upcoming elections in Kyrgyzstan, in which over 200 parties are participating. I believe this is abnormal. The party monopoly, just as the rotation of power, is the basic principle of democracy, says the president's advisor. However, it is important to consider the specifics of local mentality. Then he continues saying that along with one party ruling the country for a long time, it must also be ruled by one person. The news on the Nazarbayev's intention to run for the presidency for another term in 2012 elections, voiced by the same advisor, became the hit of the season. The fellows from the ruling party approve and really support president's decision. We must admit that people have really elected Nazarbayev, and the democracy for me is what the main democrat of our country had done and shown in practice. We'll get to that point sometimes, but gradually we will have a better political culture. But it is the fact that Nursultan Nazarbayev is everybody's favorite president, and we can't deny it. Parliamentarians claim that there is no deserved competitor to Nazarbayev in the upcoming elections. This is also stated by President's advisor Yertezbayev, who is sure that there is no serious candidacy for presidency amongst oppositional forces. The authorities don't accept the claim of the oppositions on mass falsification and violations of election code, citing a famous philosopher: change your attitude towards the environment if you cannot change it.
Prime Minister Karim Masimov had demonstrated his intellect and language abilities yesterday, as Kazakhstan is about to become a chairman of the Islamic Conference Organization. During a meeting with Prime Minister of Jordan held in Astana yesterday, Masimov, who is also told to speak in 5 languages, spoke exclusively in Arabic. This made the Jordan Prime Minister Zamir Said al-Rifai to give a promise to learn Kazakh language.
The governments of 2 countries have signed several documents yesterday. Jordan intends to introduce visa-free regime for Kazakhstan citizens holding diplomatic and business passports. Meanwhile, Jordan businessmen are negotiating to build a pharmaceutical plant in Almaty region. Moreover, official Jordan expressed an interest in creating joint ventures in the territory of Kazakhstan on manufacturing the military equipments. Another project being discussed during the meeting is the establishing a regular supply of Kazakh grain to the Kingdom of Jordan.
In the meantime, series of actions in support of Uzbek refugees that Kazakhstan intends to extradite were held in front of the diplomatic representations in Switzerland. The protesters, mainly composed of the ethnic Uzbeks, and some refugees protested against Kazakhstan's authorities' decision. They claim that detained refugees have escaped from Uzbekistan after the bloodshed in Andijan and are protected under the UN refugee mandate.
On June 9, 2010, Kazakh law enforcement bodies have arrested 30 refugees based upon the official request of Uzbekistan's General Prosecutor's Office on extradition. Most of the detainees are accused in terrorism and relations with Islamic religious sects. Almaty city prosecutor hasn't sanctioned the meeting with relatives and lawyers, while the National Committee had declined the detainees' applications for asylum. A spouse of one of the arrested said the Kazakh authorities are going for this step in order not to spoil the relations between the countries. The protest action was supported by journalists and human rights defenders.
Journalists of the Respublika newspaper had organized a press conference in Almaty, telling the results of their struggle with the authorities to get re-registered and continue to publish the newspaper regularly. For already a year, the newspaper is printed on the office equipment, as none of the print houses dares to work with it. Another newspaper called My Republic, Facts, Events and People, can't get re-registered. Next story has the details.
For already a year, the Respublika newspaper is being published in underground conditions, being printed by the office equipment, as it has not yet gone through the re-registration process. However, says one of its editors, Zelipuhin, the Respublika had become quite popular on the internet. The newspaper was coincidentally shut down after publications regarding the nationalization of the BTA bank. We were expecting the bank will announce a default followed with bankruptcy. In other words, our assumptions on the default came true, while almost came true the assumptions on bankruptcy, because we know for sure that this issue has been hotly discussed on the highest level. In 2009, the only newspaper in Kazakhstan daring to publish materials criticizing the government was shut down by the finance police. Then the problems with re-registration appeared. The problem is supposedly related with the change of newspapers' editors' frequency. 1 year had passed already since the newspaper's problem cannot be solved by the Information and Communications Ministry. On Friday, the minister had finally confirmed the receipt of the application during the IT company's conference. As of today, the court had decided that the re-registration is illegitimate, and in this relation, I believe that the newspaper management should appeal to other judicial instances. During 1 year, the Respublika newspaper had lost its circulation. However, it didn't lose its readers, says its chief editor Tatyana Trubacheva. While the previous circulation was 25,000 copies, now the staff manages to produce 19,000 using the office equipment. Now the newspaper is distributed in electronic format so that the reader can print it out if necessary. Moreover, the popularity of the newspaper is increasing on the internet, and the scandal around it made it only more popular, say experts.
The protest action launched by 20 workers of the Quad construction company right in the middle of the roadway ended with fights with drivers. The ex-employees of the mentioned company demand to get paid for 3 years of work. The action was interrupted by police and outraged drivers. Next story has more.
The Quad Corporation constructors have blocked the roadway in Almaty on Friday, demanding its subdivision management to pay off the salary debts. Some of the workers haven't been paid for 3 years. We nearly live in here working, but haven't got paid yet. What should we do? Just 3 hours earlier, workers attempted to get an audience of the Almaty City Deputy Mayor Viktor Dolzhenkov. The workers haven't got paid for constructing the Eastern Belt Highway funded by the municipality. The Quad Corporation started its construction in 2007. However, the protesters were received by the corporate policy specialists. You know, this issue is not being raised for the first time. You have already met with Dolzhenkov. I will report to him about it again, and you please sign up for an appointment. According to lawyer Daulet Jumabekov, protecting the interests of workers, the corporation had owed total $4.5 million for salaries. The company is trying to pay off partially. However, workers claim it happens quite rarely. Each of the workers got paid only 10% of their salaries. Many people are not employed anymore, and their expenses covered by debts from other people are a real issue for them. There are workers who have problems with mortgages, because of which many even lost their housings. First the police, then the employers arrived to the protest sit, while the city administration officials have simply ignored the action. Workers were asked to wait a little bit, saying the issue is being discussed on the level of the government. However, the money is still not available. We work in civilized manner. We are also working in this company, and we are not paid just as all of us. The highway was blocked for less than an hour. The workers have agreed to wait again. However, they have warned that in case of failing to solve the issue soon, they will hold mass rallies. Upon the protest action end, the police had arrested lawyer Daulet Jumabekov, who was brought to the local station to write an explanatory statement.
Owners of the gas stations in the south of Kazakhstan are discontent with the state's involvement in the industry. They claim that the operators who buy the petroleum from the producers and sell it to them create many problems for the development of small businesses. Next story has more.
Drivers in Shymkent overpay for petroleum 4 cents per liter, say the owners of the gas stations of the city. They claim that the mediators between the gas stations and the oil-producing companies speculate in the price. The so-called operators institution was introduced by the local authorities last year, which was supposed to regulate the local petroleum market. Thus, the authorities hope to escape the monopolization of supply market by the oil producers. According to the memorandum on mediation services, the operators were not supposed to add to the cost no more than 2 cents per liter. It is cheaper in Taras. If we buy it at 55 cents, in Taras it costs 50. In the end, it appears that we have to make it more expensive because of the operator, as the producer Kazakhstan sells it at 50 cents to operator who sell it to us at 53 cents. The operators have their own calculations. All of them are on Kaybek Ambarov's table. He blames the suppliers in the situation with high prices. There are 5 such companies servicing the region, each of whom offers different prices, says the activist. Therefore, the operators are forced to come up with average price. Some of our entrepreneurs are not well informed, but it is understandable. They may hear, for example, that Kazakhstan sells at 50 cents, but it is not the only supplier. We have about 4 to 5, and they offer unregulated prices. Consolidated gas station owners are trying to find justice for already 9 months, and the officials who have initiated the memorandum now create bureaucratic barriers, saying they accept only written claims. They've been appealing by word of mouth, but there was no facts fixed on the paper. We'll react immediately should there be facts registered. In such case, we can terminate the contract with the operator, as we still have 7 more in reserve. Meanwhile, the operators are sure that without their services, the region will experience an artificially created petroleum deficit. However, the gas station owners demand to eliminate the operators' institution.
The Public Council of the ruling Nuratan party had discussed the problem of energy and heating tariffs increase in Almaty yesterday.
The annual increase of the fees were found groundless by the oppositionist forces. The housing and utilities expert Petr Svoik has suggested his own way to solve the issue. He believes that Kazakhstan needs an audit agency which would have monitored the transparency of energy monopolists' income distribution. The oppositionists had outlined that the country has sufficient amount of resources and companies offering utilities services. However, the government keeps referring to the outdated equipment. Amongst others, the tariffs include fee, the controller's payment, which is also paid by the consumers. In Almaty alone, this sum is estimated at $28,000. Lately, it is about a big amount of money, especially in Almaty. Millions of dollars annually, in addition to the utilities tariffs, were invested. Anyways, this is such an approach when we are trying to cover up the problem in management, tariff investment policies with money.